Welcome to another episode of the Evolving Practice Podcast. I'm Dr. Bill Moss, and I'm with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sean Carey. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we're excited about this episode because this is, we can coin it or call it our top 5 health hacks. And this is
Yeah.
not like our combined 5. So we didn't even discuss any of these current, if you want to call them tips, tricks, whatever, currently relevant things that you maybe didn't consider that we're incorporating in our life. But we're going to discuss our top 5, maybe in order of importance, maybe not. We're just going to kind of see how this goes because we have not discussed this pre-episode to see what the other person has. So I'm excited to see what's on your list and if I have any of the same things that you have, Dr. Sean.
Yeah, no, I love it too because we haven't discussed this ahead of time. We both like kind of biohacking and testing different things over the years and seeing what works well for us.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah, this will probably be fun because, like, if we do it a year from now, it's like that might not be as relevant or isn't
Yeah.
important. And I don't know about you, but some of mine are a little more obscure, but they're more important to me as we go. But let's get started. What's your first one that you wanna introduce?
So the first one that I did, it was just the first one that came to mind, and it's my daily rituals. So the
Okay.
daily energetic rituals that we do. And when we say rituals specifically, it's the rituals that I learned from the Empower Thyself class and that both you and I teach. But
Hmm.
the reason why it's the number one thing for me is because it's something that is so ingrained into my life now that there's not a day where I don't do them. And I
Hmm.
like to do them as soon as I wake up, and I like to do them right before bed because I find it really helps me to have more positive and clear direction for the day,
Yeah.
and also a huge amount of like energy healing and upliftment that happens as a result of doing it. So there are basically 6 different rituals that I do every day. There's more than that, but there's
Yeah.
the 6 foundational ones that really just help me to get centered for the day, like both spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and that's where I get to start my day from. And then at nighttime, like that's how I go to sleep too. So it's like so you're not dwelling on these things going on at nighttime. It's like your energy is nice and clear, your mind and your emotions are nice and clear. And I find that in terms of one spiritual health and then also emotional and mental health, but it has a huge effect on my physical health too to do that
Mm.
because
Mhm.
it's the way the physical health gets kind of like taken off track is oftentimes first by our mind and then our emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, especially because it's like there is a manual of how to take care of ourselves physically, but we're
Yeah.
not really taught about what do we do for our spirit, our soul, or any other aspects of ourselves to help. So very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your number one?
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of build upon that. I didn't put it directly as rituals, but one of the things I've been doing to help me accomplish some of these healthy habits, like my rituals, like meditation, like working out, is I've set a minimum amount, like a non-negotiable minimum of what I'm
Mm,
gonna do. So for like you described, like basic rituals, okay, like if I'm just having a day or in a way, like at the very minimum, I'm going to do those as my ritual practice. In
yeah.
addition to that, I'm going to meditate 10 minutes. Like, I don't care if that's all I got. I'm going to do 10 minutes. And if I don't want to work out, I'm going to do at least 100 push-ups or 100 squats, So one of the
Yeah.
things I put on me is like, what is my minimum allowable amount? Like, I'm not going to, it's something that I can just do. I will do it to make sure. So because I'm like, that's better than not doing it. Because I found with my
Yeah.
rituals not that hard. I mean, that's almost always accomplished, but sometimes you don't want to do all of them. Meditation definitely for a long time. I just like didn't I was well, if I'm not going to do 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm not going to do it. If I'm not going to work out 20 or 30 minutes, I'm not going to do it. And what I found is if I put these minimums in, I'll actually end up doing more almost every time with everything. So that's kind of my safety net, if you will, for many of my healthy practices. So that was my one of mine. I don't have them in any specific order, but that was um, one of my big ones for right now.
Oh, I love that, and I love the way that you positioned it as basically like non-negotiable minimums.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm such a so good at my negative ego is so good at being like, ah, you're just not good enough to do all that stuff. So
Yeah,
you're not. Now I'm like, well, no, I'm gonna do a little bit, and a little bit always turns into better. Probably the next
absolutely.
thing I should do is on my diet. Like, well, regardless of what I eat, I should at least eat X, Y, and Z today.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
consume this. But I love that because you also get some wins, which help create the likelihood that you'll do it again. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like momentum builds momentum.
cool.
Uh, and that kind of leads to my second one. What you were just saying, it's like, is I really like something that's become much more important to me as time has gone on in my life is like simple food and cooking.
Mm,
So like simple food is like I like to get food from the farm. Like I like to be able to go to the farm and like I like to be able to pick out the food that I want and to know where the food is coming from. And I tend to cook with just very simple ingredients now. And
mm,
like it might just be like hamburger and sea salt or something like that, or it might
yeah.
be like that and some fruit, or eggs and some fruit, or some raw milk. And it tends to be like very simple one ingredient things. I might make a meal out of it, or I
Mm,
might like cook something on the smoker or on the grill and have it be really nice. But like taking the effort and actually like sourcing the food really well,
mm,
finding like that piece of fruit that looks the best, or that type of
mm,
thing. Yeah,
mhm,
and then cooking it myself and preparing it well, it's just made such a huge improvement in my health. Yeah, I started doing that, and it was like my body within not a long period of time, I probably lost like 15 pounds just from that. A-
okay.
And it was
Yeah,
just, yeah, it was just like simple stuff, getting food from the farm, cooking simple meals that I like. And I've just noticed a huge difference from that. I always kind of thought I was like too busy to cook.
mm,
And, one of the
yeah,
things that you and I have both been taught over the years in some of the different business trainings is like, oh, you should just outsource as much as you can.
yeah,
So it's like have a meal delivery service or whatever. It's like your time is better
yeah,
spent on these other things. And then for myself, I'm like, no, I actually really enjoy that. I really enjoy going
yeah,
to the grocery store. I really enjoy these little things. There are some things that I don't enjoy that I'm not good at that I do outsource,
yeah,
like dry cleaning and that type of thing.
yeah.
But for cooking and the
You're not
food that
good. You're not good at dry cleaning.
I well, it's like I have this the dry cleaner comes, they pick up the stuff on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah,
Or like I could like wash it and hang dry it, but the nice shirts, it's like more complicated. It's easier to damage, and
yeah,
it's just something that I'm not good at. I never have been. I
mhm,
don't want to deal with that. But the food, I used to have that idea with the food too. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's actually, I really feel a lot healthier if I do this myself.
yeah.
There's just, it's like, even if you're trying to get simple food, but you're ordering out, like the oils they cook it in, it's
Oh,
not the
it's
same
not. Yeah.
quality of cut and those things. And like, it's really a totally different product, I think, than what I end up making at home.
It's funny you say that because that's not on my list, but I've been cooking more lately,
Mm.
and I do kind of enjoy it. Like I actually think about that quite often. It's like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
go buy this and I'll outsource this. And I do go out for lunch quite often. And that's just it's easier for me to not bring all this stuff. But on the weekends and when I've been having more time, I really do enjoy to like prepare food and not have tons of things in the house. Like I like to know what I like to eat and then just have that available and do it. So I'm starting to kind of come back to that same sensation. And one of I mean, maybe I'll tie this into mine. One of the things that kind of relates to that is one of my hacks is I have camping. Like we do camping a lot. We have a travel trailer, but beyond that, it's like the whole idea when we go there, right? It's like our home away from home. It's in the middle of the woods. It's up in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. It's a little mountain town. It doesn't have much reception, so automatically there's certain things that happen when we go there. Number one, you don't have that much cell phone reception. Number two, just being becomes an activity. And like you said,
Yeah.
is like the meal is the event when we're
Yeah.
at our campsite. So it's like, what are we going to have for our meal? Let's prep it together. Let's do it outside. Let's have a campfire. You don't care about taking extra time or chopping things and
Yeah.
cleaning up afterwards because all you have is time. And there's something to go. So food is definitely one of the parts that I really have come to enjoy, especially with camping. Secondarily, like being in nature, this is why camping is on mine, is like I can't even describe how much better I sleep when I'm like out in the woods and
Yes.
I'm out in nature. It's like you're just, when you're closer to like the elements, there's just something that I can sleep in longer and wake up and just be kind of like lucid and calm and just kind of floating into the day. And then a fun thing happens for me, that this has been so important, is I start to get really creative. When I
Mm,
when I'm in nature and I get away, I almost look forward to, when I have this forced disconnect, how creative I end up becoming. So it's one of my favorite things that I've discovered to
yeah.
be. um it just serves so many different things. And I think when you work with so many people, is like, and you can probably relate to this, is no one would ever be like, Bill, you're an introvert, because you
Yeah.
can take me anywhere and I can converse, but I really, really do recharge my batteries by being away from people.
Yeah.
I get energy by being around people, but I really get the most energy when I recharge just away from kind of civilization. So I found camping to be one of the best things for me. And it does tie into your love of cooking and simple foods. Like you do cook much more simply when you're just out in the woods camping and that sort of thing. So, or
I love that.
glamping in my case. It's definitely glamping.
Oh, that's great. One of my favorite places is my family has had this camp on a lake in New Hampshire for and my grandparents had it when I was a little kid. I mean, we'd go there, and it's simple. It's like 500 square feet, I think.
Okay.
Like a very, very simple camp. Uh, one tiny bathroom and all this stuff, but it's just right
Yeah.
by the water, and then there's all these like walking trails and stuff, and it's absolutely been one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
You don't need much when you're doing it, right? You
no,
just
yeah, and it's those things, and it's like, yeah, it's you get more like your rhythm gets used to the rhythm of nature, and
kind of love it.
yeah, I love that too. I think that's such a great thing because we are like of nature in a sense.
Hmm.
And if you totally separate yourself and your rhythms from nature, it's a good way to get sick.
Yeah. One, without a doubt. And I used to, my way to integrate nature was, I was a competitive distance runner. But the one thing that people didn't know is like, though I would race maybe on a track or a road, I did almost all my training on trails and in the woods. And you just get, gosh, it's just like so restorative. Plus, I ran in every kind of weather. Do
Yeah,
it's like not often do we just like immerse ourselves in every kind of weather. And there's something to learn with that. You start to know some patterns. There's like more oxygen in the air when it
yeah,
rains, so you can actually breathe better when you're running. So
yeah,
there's so many cool little experiences you can have by just putting yourself in nature more. And like now it's that creative piece, man. I just can't even tell you. Like I get up there, say we go for a weekend, and by the next Saturday morning, I'm waking up and I'm just like coming up with the ideas and I'm
yeah.
feeling re-energized and I'm in a different flow. So I really have come to just like value how important that is for me on multiple levels. Yeah.
That relates to one of mine as well, which is like walking. Walking is
Mhm.
a health benefit for me.
Yep.
And I remember coming across something relatively recently where it was talking about how I believe for like every 1,000 steps you take over, let's say 6,000 steps per day, your
Mm.
risk of all cause mortality, so your risk of dying from everything, is reduced by like an extra 10% for
Yeah.
each of the 1,000 steps past 6,000. I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting. And I've been walking a lot because I have this dog who has a lot of anxiety
Mm.
and also a lot of energy. So in order to deal with this dog, like she needs to get tired out. And we go on these really long walks together. And we start going through all these like beautiful wooded trails, and
Mm.
it's become something that I really look forward to. And I just love what happens for me when I'm on these long walks alone, like in nature with the dog. And sometimes I'll listen to music, sometimes I won't.
Yeah.
but I love how I process my emotions. I love how I connect with nature. Like, and if the only time I don't really go out is if it's really raining, but in
Yeah.
the winter time we'll go out. There can be tons of snow, or
Oh my
uh,
God.
yeah, and we just like we have an awesome time.
Dogs
And I
in
always,
snow is amazing. Like,
yeah.
that's like one of the most joyful things, watching a dog play in the snow. It's
Oh,
like,
it's great, and there's nobody out there too when it's snowing, so we
yeah,
always have the fields to ourselves. But for me, like oftentimes I'll see people. There's different ways of exercising. For me, walking is just something that I really enjoy. Like,
yeah,
one of the things I struggled with was some different sports injuries and stuff too. And there was a time I was like really frustrated because I felt like I couldn't get back in the gym because I'd keep re-injuring things. And I'm just walking has been like the best rehab for me,
yeah.
and it just mentally, physically, emotionally, and being out in nature like you're talking about. I really enjoy that.
My friend Dr. Tommy John, I've heard him say something revolving around this, and it just always hits hard. Is like being able to walk. You don't want to lose that ability, and
Yeah.
it's one of the most important things because you basically spend the whole first year of your life striving to walk, right?
Yeah.
Like everything you're doing with your physical body is to like prepare and learn and to become upright to walk. So it's
Yeah.
like a really valuable thing to continue to do, because like you said, it's just the predictability of mortality when you can't walk or you not walking, and it's such an easy way. And you definitely can see a movement that's been going on over the last couple of years to get more steps in, right? With the
Yeah.
ways of measuring with every kind of watch or phone or device, the rocking, adding weight
Yeah.
to your walks. Another way to like burn more calories, get cardiovascular endurance, but not put this type of strain that running puts on your joints. And it's pretty cool to see that people are like walking their way to better health.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, you get to be in nature, which is um, just great for dogs and humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So,
Um,
what's your next one?
yeah. So this one's good. With a child, it makes you more mindful about what you're modeling. So one of the things I've been doing that is keeping my phone on a different floor when I'm with my
Mm,
daughter or in my home, just trying to maintain a level of presence. And you can call it a health hack or not. I just call it I don't want to train my daughter that like we're always looking at phones and they're like
yeah.
taking up all of our attention. So I've definitely become more and more mindful. There's different ways of like I've put do not disturb on. I never sleep with my phone in the same room. You could call that a sleep hack. But the one thing I've been much more cognizant of is like when I'm with my family, trying to not keep that in a position that allows me to just grab and be as we go. Because I feel like I want a world where people can look at each other in the eye and they can connect, and it's not like, "Hey, you're second to whatever's going on in this digital screen in front of my face." So, that's been something that's been a little bit more on my mind to manage, because it's not like we're screwed. We're just if you don't control that, it just takes over
Yeah.
at this point in time. And I definitely don't want my little person to just like think that's how they should be as well. And it's not always easy, but making efforts to continue to do that.
I love that. I remember I was preparing to give a lecture on like ADHD, and I was doing
Mhm.
some research about it, and I came across this statistic, and it was saying that how for today's day and age, the average child has about 8 seconds as far as focus. So you can focus for about 8 seconds. Before, if you go back 50 years, we essentially had a minute for each age of life until about age 20,
Hmm.
and then that we kind of became our cap and flatlined. So a
Wow.
20-year-old would be able to focus for about 20 minutes, but now
Wow.
you have a 20-year-old can focus for about 8 seconds. And our attention span right now as a culture is literally that of a goldfish. So, which is really sad when we talk about like teaching kids. Like that's a huge thing. Like, how are you going to learn anything if you can only
Yeah.
focus your brain for 8 seconds?
It's wild. I mean, if someone's still listening, you just made it to the 20-minute mark of this episode. So
Yeah,
that's congratulations that you're defying the odds. But it is true, and I would say most people would verbalize that they want that. They want to have attention span, but yet
yeah,
we kind of hack ourselves all the time to not to not have it. And I remember when cell phones started to become a thing, like it's so weird to say that. Like half my life was not with a cell phone, definitely not with a
yeah,
smartphone. And I remember when I was coaching track and cross country, we would take certain athletes to like bigger meets and the elite athletes, and you'd stay over and say there was like 6 of them or we're all out to dinner. Uh the head coach who I worked with, like I was kind of like the assistant track coach, head boys coach. He was like, this is how it's going to be. He's like, we can go out to dinner and we're either going to not have our phones out or everyone's just going to be on their phone and no conversation. Like he gave
yeah,
everyone a choice. And like no one ever chose like, let's just be in our own world. Like no one actually chose that. Now today, that was probably like at least
yeah.
15 years ago, like 18 years ago. Maybe somebody would choose differently, but it just seemed ridiculous when you put it that way. And then we just like converse and you got to know people. So we're gonna lose unless we have restraint of how we use that technology. And I'm just more mindful that I want to try to be a little bit more responsible, especially with a little person watching and observing. And screens really take them out of dreamland. So we try to do, we're not perfect. We do screens from time to time, but we don't try to put our child on a screen to distract them, right? Because then you're just reinstilling this like, here, be distracted. Here's a
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Something I want to mention, this isn't on my list, but just while we're talking about it, I have a MacBook and we're on our computers right now. It's like 9:15 at night. Typically I go to bed at around like 9:30 or so. So I don't love like
We
looking
better
at
hurry this up, right?
yeah. Oh, no. What I was saying is that I have an app. I think it's like a free app on my computer. It's called Flux, and then
Hmm.
it adjusts
Yeah,
the like blue thing,
I
so it
have
gets rid
that.
of blue light. Yeah, and it just we've never even talked about it, but it's just like a
No.
super simple app. I think it was free, and it's just you set the time of like when you want to go to bed, and then it gets rid of the blue light so that as 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock is rolling around, if you're doing stuff on your computer, you don't have the blue light production to interfere with melatonin. So
I
that's
think
just like a little.
if you hit the power button on your iPhone 3 times too, it does that. Like it turns it red.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like in your the right side of your phone if you're looking at. If you hit it 3 times fast, did that work for you?
No,
Maybe I have it set a certain setting, but then it like it takes the blue light out. Yeah.
no, it's not working for me. It
I don't know
pops
how
up
you
like
do
my
it.
credit cards that I have on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
well, look at
spending
that.
more money. Oh my gosh. All right, what's next on your list?
So one of the next
How
things
many
I
have
have
you
on
done?
there,
How many have you done so far? I'm just trying to.
uh, let's see, I think two.
Okay, cool. Because I've done 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other things I love is fasting. Like
Oh, cool.
so
I have
fasting
that on there.
yeah. Do you?
Yeah,
That's
that's what I put.
Yeah, I absolutely love fasting. Sometimes in my life I'll lean on it more than others, but I at least like to do it like a couple times, maybe like 3 days a quarter or something like that. Sometimes I do it a lot more regularly, where I might do like a day or 2 days of fasting a week. And I've played with it at different times over the years, and I love the way I feel. I love how clean it makes my system. I
Yeah.
love like the spiritual high that I get from it. It's amazing for weight loss. It's amazing to retain muscle mass. It's amazing to increase growth hormone production, testosterone production, and to do something called autophagy, which is where your body goes and cleans up old dead cells or
Yeah.
old weak cells. Your body will go clear those out. It's really helpful at helping with clear out cancer cells and reducing the risk of cancer if you
Mhm,
fast periodically.
mhm, mhm.
So that's another one. It's something that there's no cost to it. If anything, you're actually saving money because you're not eating. You're literally like doing nothing. You'll have way more time in your day.
Yeah,
Uh,
we should have made this the how to oh yeah, because we talked about meditation on our last one and we were like,
yeah,
meditation's great. It really doesn't cost you any money to do it.
yeah,
Um,
and fasting's this way too. You just do like sometimes do it imperfectly. I might have just like some black coffee and water or
yeah,
black tea and water. Other times I might just do water, but I'll have some like salts in there. But like a
yeah.
24-hour fast is so incredible.
Yeah, that's
I,
exactly I almost defined it the exact same way as you did. Is
cool.
like I I've done it throughout the summer. I've periodically fasted and um I'm probably putting in like a couple 24-hour fasts in like a month. I guess
Yeah,
that's what I'm probably averaging. And then I would like to do more like a 48-hour, maybe like once a quarter. But
yeah,
I always find it to be I love the feeling when you're I don't want to say I love the feeling when you're done in the sense that like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to eat, but it definitely helps give a reset, right?
yeah,
Because like we're not as hungry as we think we are.
yeah. Totally,
You
totally.
know what I mean? Like you don't need as much food as we dramatically like go for on a daily basis. So I kind of like to create that reset. I'm not a huge eater anyway. Like I'm not. I don't eat a ton of food in a day. And I joke that I think everything tastes between a 4 and a 7. I am not a foodie. Like I like food. And if you made something
Yeah,
like brisket on in a smoker, I would be like, this is awesome. But like it's not gonna stay with me for years and be like this meal that I had back. Like I
yeah,
just don't care that much. I kind of eat to survive at this point with a few. Um, but I like the reset that I receive by doing a fast because you just feel like you're not addicted to stuff. You know what I mean? Like I had the
yeah.
will to like put it all down for a period of time.
And it even makes it like I feel like it shrinks your stomach a bit. Like
It
it's like
definitely does.
yeah, so it's like whatever volume of food you're used to eating, like it does help you to kind of lower that volume. And one of the most popular ways for weight loss is still this is like basically stomach shrinking surgery. So you can really get a certain amount of that just by fasting.
Ozempic.
Yeah.
Ozempic.
And
Yeah.
what I have found, I've tried some longer fasts. The most I've ever gotten was like 4.5 days. And
Okay.
but I was trying to do that where it was like I was also seeing clients at the same time, and it
It's
would just
really
like,
hard.
yeah, it was just I could not do a good job functioning as a practitioner and keep that going. But like I think that's too much for my system actually. Like I've done a couple 3-day fasts, and it's like, oh, that's actually a really good
Yeah.
time. But three
Yeah.
days was a good time. 24, 48 hours, that's great. But I don't like doing anything. Um, I don't like doing anything longer than that. And I also like feel like I don't get as much of an effect as if I don't do it for about 24 hours. It doesn't
Yeah.
have the same like
Yeah.
cleansing effect for me.
Yeah.
And I like to fast on my busiest days. Like I don't like to fast on like a weekend. That would be like torture for me. But
I'm yeah,
if it's like a
I'm
super
totally
busy
with
day,
you.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's like, what even when we're thinking of this, like, I was like, when do I like to fast? Well, the
mm,
24-hour one, the most popular one for me is Sunday night to Monday night. That's
yeah,
what I like
yeah,
because Monday's kind of my short day in the office because I found like you, if I'm hitting hunger point and I'm coming up against like a lot of like mental activity in the practice, like
yeah,
lots of questions or something, it's hard. It's hard to
yeah,
practice. I feel like so the 48-hour when I do it, I'll usually go like Wednesday night to Friday night because I'm like
yeah,
you. It's like I'm not gonna fast on the weekend. I
yeah,
personally like we're doing
yeah,
fun stuff with my daughter and stuff. It's not conducive.
yeah,
Um, but I don't have to work a lot from Wednesday night to Friday evening. And you do once people don't realize like once you get to 36 hours, all of a sudden you're like, I could do this for a while. That's how I
yeah,
always
totally,
feel. Mhm.
totally. Yeah. And I mean, fasting too, it's been through like all the different religions on the planet. They've all had this period of fasting too. It's
Yeah.
just, you do get such a spiritual high and clarity and brain benefits. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I love it.
yeah, and the one thing I'd say to add is like it is easier to do if you don't have a lot of commitments, right? Like
Yeah.
if you have a lot of commitments, it's hard to do. But if you're just kind of like chilling out alone and don't have a ton of responsibility for a period of time, it's a much easier to do when you're just kind of hanging out in the
Yeah.
woods, if you will.
Yeah.
So
So what's your next one?
yeah, so this kind of ties into the last one is I don't drink a lot of plain water. I almost do solely electrolytes. And I found like this kind of ties into the fasting is one of the first times I ever fasted. I followed this crazy guy. He was have you ever heard of the snake diet guy? Do you ever see that
Oh
guy?
yeah, I did try that at one point in time.
So, like, he's nuts. But the one
Yeah.
thing I really liked that he did was he made this drink called like snake juice. And basically, it was just a balanced electrolytes of like
Yeah.
potassium, sodium that you would mix. And the whole principle behind what he said was like, what most people do is they eat a bunch of food and then they need to drink a lot of water to dilute their electrolytes and then they drink too much water and then they get hungry and they want to like eat to balance their electrolytes. And I was like, okay, I maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But I did when I fasted the first time, I made this drink and I thought I'd want to drink a ton of it. Like I thought I was going to consume more liquid than I naturally would on a daily basis. And what I found was I actually didn't drink that much. Maybe I
Yeah.
drank like 75 ounces of this stuff and actually felt really quite good. So the point was if you have like balanced electrolytes, you're a lot less likely to like be putting food in your mouth. So in general, I tend to drink more electrolytes, almost predominantly electrolytes, and I feel so much better, clearer, more hydrated. I have higher hydration needs as well. So one of my hacks, if you will, is I really don't drink plain water. I almost only have electrolytes in my water, or drink something that's not water. Yeah.
What's your go-to electrolyte?
Relight, I think.
That's dude, we
You
didn't talk about this.
you turn
I like that.
well, you turned that me onto it.
Oh, okay, because we
Yeah.
roomed together and then
Yeah, we
yeah.
roomed together and I had that and I was like, this is the best electrolyte I've ever because
Yeah.
I like salty. Like I
Yeah.
like when it's kind of salty. And I feel like they have the best salts. I feel like I don't have to over drink that
Yeah.
electrolyte. And I recover from workouts so much better than I ever did. I was a competitive runner, but I was not a
Yeah.
good summer runner and I could never stay hydrated. And I wish I would have used that relight back in the day because it helps me sustain much more consistent energy throughout. So I highly recommend. I tell clients all the time, it's like you don't just want to drink water, you want to actually be hydrated, and that
Yeah.
requires like electrolytes. So
Absolutely. And yeah, I love Relight too, and it's just RELYTE. I get it right on Amazon,
me
but
too.
one of the things I like is that it has really good flavors too. Like
So good,
it's very tasty
dude.
actually, and there's no sugar or anything like that. It's just the salts and
No,
minerals.
and you don't need a lot. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's funny. The first time Lauren tried it, she was like, "Oh, what is this?" And now, then, like then I remember she hated it. She was like, "I don't
yeah,
like it." And I don't know if she used too much, too little. I do not know. But all of a sudden, the other week, she's like, "These are the best electrolytes ever. I never drink plain
yeah,
water." Like she wasn't like, "I don't want to drink water." She's like, "I just use this all the time. It's so good." And I'm like, "It is so good."
yeah, yeah,
Plus, you stay hydrated. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
better.
And human beings, like our body, like we weren't necessarily used to just drinking this ultra purified water. Like
No.
we were getting rainwater and water from springs and mineral springs. So that's like our bodies actually need all these minerals. They're
Yeah.
really important. And
Yeah, I
mineral
think
depletion is like rampant in the US. It's a
yeah.
huge deal. The more stressed you are, the more you tend to use up those minerals too and electrolytes.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was, like, Alice Bailey, I think, talked about how, like, how ancient the mineral kingdom is and, like, how foundational and fundamental it is to, like, us. And,
Yeah,
I've seen I don't know much about that, but just even the thought of like, oh my God, all these minerals, these salts, they have been like, they're so old and they're so fundamental to like our structure and like they provide such benefit. Um, I'm fascinated by that. I don't know a lot about it. I really don't, but just that idea, like there's that whole book about salt. I don't know if you ever read that. or started to read it, but
No, no, I haven't. But just as we're having this conversation, it makes me think like a lot of the different spiritual practices. It's like a lot of them actually do like there's salt that's involved, like maybe
it's
salt
true.
bath. Or
Yeah,
there's different rituals where you use like a holy salt or salt.
yeah,
Salt is very much in terms of cleansing, but
yep.
then also in terms of food too. Like if you look at food preservation, like salting
Mm,
is something that helps to preserve
yeah,
food, and like you don't have to worry about if you have salt. Like you don't have to worry about bacteria or viruses or anything like that.
yeah,
In the salt, it just salt is very clean. So
yeah,
yeah, I definitely think that there's something there that we want more of that inside our
yeah.
system.
Yeah, this kind of inspires me to like just understand more about it. But I've definitely noticed. I honestly, since you had that electrolytes, I like instantly came home
Yeah,
and bought it. I feel like in the last year, I've just pretty much drank that to some degree, and it's just been super helpful. I love it.
that's awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's Relyte, RLYTE. I love it, and
we
it,
make
there
no money. We make no money on
you
this,
make no
but
money. Yeah, it's just bought on Amazon, but the
yet,
flavors are really good. Like and they have cool flavors. There's like a watermelon one. There's a
yeah,
mango one. Like
yeah,
there's some lemon lime, of course. There's some
yeah.
good ones.
That's awesome. What's do you have one more? One more on
I,
your?
I have one more, and my last one is well, there's chiropractic, but I feel like we talk about chiropractic. I don't want that to be my last one because
Okay.
because I just think we've covered that in previous episodes.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I love is is sauna. So
Oh, cool.
maybe like 12 years ago, I bought a sauna, and I still have the same sauna downstairs in my basement, and it's probably one of the
That's the
best
first time I ever
healthiest.
did a sauna, was at your house.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. I don't use it all the time, but, like, you feel so good, and it's another one of those things that really helps with I believe it's all-cause mortality. If it's not all-cause
It
mortality,
is.
it's at the
Yeah.
very is it? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's at least, cardiovascular, but, like, you burn a ton of calories in the sauna. You cleanse
I love
your
it.
skin and your liver and, your kidneys, and it's just your body heats up. Like one of the things, like if you're sick, one of the best things you can do is go in the sauna because it
I
brings
love
your
it.
core temperature up to help kill off bacteria and viruses. And it's something that like you look at different cultures, like they did wood fired saunas, or Native Americans, they had their I forget what they call it, with like the smoke, not smoke rooms, but they had their like teepees with the smoke,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's something that's really like you can get a ton of health benefits from. And then, like, you can spend, I don't know, like $10,000 on a sauna or more probably easily.
Right.
The one I had was just very simple off Amazon, like 10, 12 years ago. I still have it. It's like a base model,
I think I
but
have
I
the almost
love
the
it.
same one.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just such it's of all the different, of going now at this point in my life, I'm 39, getting close to 40. I've probably been into like kind of biohacking, if you will, for close to 20 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the sauna is my number one favorite purchase.
That's a great, I loved it. I remember when I came to visit you, you were just like, "Hey, look what I have here, and look what I have here," and you're like, "Hey, try a sauna," and, like, I did it, and I was like, "I really
Yeah,
like this." I mean, I think I had done, like, a, quote, "steam room," but that's not the
yeah,
same, it's like infrared sauna, and I really wanted one, and during I think 2021, Lauren found one right before Christmas that somebody was getting rid of, that they like never used. They set up and never used on Facebook Marketplace. And I took my truck and I picked it up.
yeah.
And I actually used mine today. Like my rhythm
Oh,
with the sauna I like to do is I plug it in and I'll work out. And by the time
yeah,
I'm done working out, it's like hot. And then I'll do like 15, 20 minutes in there. And I love it. My skin
yeah,
is like, it makes your skin feel so good, especially with all these viruses and COVID and that's gone around. Like it's been really helpful to like restore after sickness, big time.
yeah. I love it. And my our friend Tim, who we had was the last interview, he
Mhm.
introduced me to a place in Providence, Rhode Island. So for me, it's like an hour and a half drive.
Okay.
But it's this spa, and they do something called a water journey. It's this place called Bodhi Spa, and they do Tim's probably gonna kill me for this because it's like already so packed. It's hard to get in there. But I love it. It's 2.5 hours. You do this thing called a water journey, and it's like sauna, steam room. They have traditional like wood fired sauna, and they have like infrared sauna. And there's a
Mm,
steam room, and then there's a heated mineral pool, like a hot tub mineral pool. Then
nice.
there's a normal temperature mineral pool, and then there's a cold plunge. And you just cycle through these 5 different things for 2.5 hours. And every time I've gone there, it's like I've gone like a mega healing, and my body feels like so incredible.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, so I love that, like, water therapy or heat
Yeah.
cold therapy, whatever, however you want to classify it as.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we did something like that on our honeymoon years ago. It was like 18 years ago. But it was like you went in this from one room and then you jumped in this pool and then you
Yeah,
were in this heat that like it was just kind of getting passed around through all these different modalities of hot and cold. And it was really a cool experience. But without a doubt, I didn't even have that on my list. I would agree with you. I'm not really into like all these things. But the sauna, I have used it very consistently over the last couple since I've had it like 3 years ago. And the first time I ever did it was at your place and I did love it. Like it just that
yeah,
type of sweat and cleanse is like just so helpful. That and fasting, I feel like those are two things that help me have a reset on like my
yeah,
core temperature, have a reset on my like how much food I'm putting in my body. So this was kind of cool to like see what we each had. There was definitely some overlap and overlay
yeah.
with each of them. So this was fun to like
It was
look
fun,
and
especially since
explore.
we didn't talk about it beforehand too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did. Yeah, exactly. We'll have to do this like a year from now and see
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
where we are. Because they're not all the traditional things that people are doing. We're not like hardcore biohackers. And in fact, I kind of hate like the cold plunging thing. That's like such a popular thing. Um,
Yeah.
but like for years, I think I'm in college, we would do that as part of like distance running training. And now I'm like, I don't want to do that. I did it for years, like in the middle of winter. I hated it.
I'm trying to get into the cold shower thing, but I can't do it.
So
I do
hard.
like the cold plunge when it's like I can go, like, into the sauna right after, or, like, vice versa,
Yeah.
there's the polarity of it, but on its own, I haven't been able to, really incorporate it.
Yeah. God, and I'm just not a fan. I get all the benefits of it and all that stuff, but like I've been there and I've used a lot of my will. I exercised my will a lot in the 20s to do that shit, and I just don't want to do it anymore.
I love it.
So
Uh,
cool. Well, that was awesome. We're excited to, share some of our health hacks. We'd be curious to hear what's on your mind and what you're doing. And hopefully we can all grow together and find new ways to continue to be awesome, healthy, happy, and whole. And we hope this helped you. If you like this episode and you were, curious, share this out. It definitely has some unique ways that you can incorporate your life to become, to hack your health, if you will.
yeah. Thank you all for joining us.